The power of positivity. Life is not a path free of struggle, nor is it meant to be. Storms will come, challenges will rise, and the unexpected will test our spirit. But in the face of it all, one thing remains within our control: our mindset. Positivity is not about ignoring reality, it is about mastering it. It is the power to turn obstacles into lessons, fear into courage, and doubt into action. The strongest among us are not those untouched by hardship, but those who refuse to be broken by it. Stay with me, and let's uncover the true power of positivity. In life, many things are beyond our control. Fate, the actions of others, the shifting circumstances of the world. Yet, there exists one realm where absolute power rests in our hands: our own thoughts and actions. While external events unfold as they will, our response remains entirely within our command. A person may face insult, but the sting of offense only exists if it is allowed to take root. A man may suffer misfortune, yet his attitude toward hardship determines whether he is defeated or strengthened. It is not the wind that dictates the course of a ship, but the skill of the sailor adjusting the sails. Similarly, our direction in life is not determined by what happens to us, but by how we react. Attempting to control the uncontrollable leads to frustration and despair. No man can halt the passing of time, prevent the setting of the sun, or change the will of others. To invest energy in such pursuits is to pour water into a broken vessel. Instead, the wise focus their efforts where they hold true authority, over their minds, choices, and character. When confronted with difficulties, the mind must ask a simple question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, then resistance is futile, and acceptance is the only path to peace. If the answer is yes, then action must replace complaint, for dwelling on obstacles achieves nothing. Mastery over one's thoughts and responses is the foundation of strength. When a person governs their emotions and directs their will with purpose, they become untouchable by the chaos of the world. True power is not found in wealth, status, or influence, but in the ability to rule oneself with clarity and discipline. Hardship is an unavoidable part of life. No man walks the earth without facing trials, setbacks, or suffering. Yet these difficulties are not mere burdens. They are lessons in disguise. Just as fire tempers steel and pressure forms diamonds, adversity refines the soul, strengthening it for greater challenges ahead. Ease breeds complacency, while struggle forces growth. A man who has never faced hardship remains untested, uncertain of his own resilience. It is only when one is pushed to the limits that true strength is revealed. The athlete grows stronger not by avoiding strain, but by embracing it. The mind, too, is a muscle, hardened and sharpened by the trials it endures. To see adversity as an enemy is to misunderstand its purpose. It is not there to break, but to shape. Pain teaches patience, loss instills gratitude, and failure imparts wisdom. The lessons learned in comfort are shallow, while those gained through struggle leave an indelible mark. A man who has suffered and endured emerges not weaker, but wiser, more prepared for the next storm life may bring. There is no wisdom in lamenting what cannot be changed. Instead, the challenge must be met with steady resolve. When difficulties arise, the mind must shift from asking, "Why me?" to "What can this teach me?" The perspective given to hardship determines its effect. Those who curse their misfortunes remain trapped in suffering, while those who seek their lessons transform pain into power. A smooth path may be pleasant, but it does not build skill. The road of obstacles, though harsh, forges a traveler into something greater. Every challenge, every loss, every moment of suffering contains within it the opportunity to rise above, to learn, and to grow. In life, effort is within one's control, but results are not. A farmer may till the soil with care, plant the best seeds and tend to his crops diligently, yet he cannot command the rain to fall or the sun to shine. To attach one's peace to the harvest is to invite disappointment, for nature follows its own course. The only certainty lies in the work itself. Many suffer because they place their happiness on external outcomes, on success, approval, wealth, or recognition. They labor with expectation, believing that effort guarantees reward. Yet, the world does not always return what is hoped for. A man may do all that is right and still meet failure. A just cause may fall to injustice. Fortune does not answer to human desire. To find freedom, one must separate effort from expectation. Do the work not for the result, but because it is right to do so. A warrior trains not because he knows he will win, but because preparation itself is a virtue. A scholar studies not for the guarantee of wisdom, but because the pursuit of knowledge is worthy in itself. When actions are taken with integrity and purpose, the outcome becomes secondary. Fear of failure weakens the will, and attachment to success creates anxiety. When the mind clings to results, it wavers at the first sign of uncertainty. But when one commits fully to the process and releases concern over what follows, a new strength emerges, one that is unshaken by misfortune. The path becomes its own reward. Detachment is not indifference, but mastery over one's desires. To act without expectation is to be truly free, unburdened by the weight of uncertainty, and steady in the face of all that may come. Emotions arise naturally, but their influence is a matter of choice. Anger, fear, sorrow. These feelings may appear unbidden, yet no man is bound to obey them. Just as a fire needs fuel to burn, emotions require consent to take hold. A set may provoke anger, but only if the mind grants it permission. A setback may invite despair, yet it is within one's power to refuse its grasp. Many believe they are prisoners of their emotions, as if feelings dictate actions beyond control. This is an illusion. A man may feel rage but still choose patience. He may feel fear but act with courage. The wise do not suppress emotions but master them, guiding their energy where it serves best. The body may react instinctively, but the mind holds the final decision. A storm may rise in the heart, but it is within one's power to calm the winds. When insulted, ask, does anger serve a purpose, or does it grant power to the offender? When faced with fear, consider, does panic change fate, or does it weaken resolve? Emotion itself is neither enemy nor ally. It is a force to be directed. Used well, it fuels action. Left unchecked, it leads to ruin. The undisciplined man is ruled by his impulses, reacting without thought, swayed by every fleeting mood. The disciplined man acknowledges his feelings, but remains unmoved, choosing his response with intention. He does not deny pain, but refuses to be controlled by it. He does not reject joy, but does not cling to it. His mind is his own, untamed by external forces. To master emotions is to master oneself. The world may provoke, circumstances may shift, but true power lies in the ability to remain steady, choosing thought over impulse, reason over reaction. Many seek happiness in wealth, status, or the approval of others, believing these external things will bring lasting contentment. Yet, those who attain them often find themselves just as restless, just as unsatisfied. The man who chases fortune will always fear its loss. The one who seeks validation will forever be at the mercy of others. True happiness cannot be given or taken. It must be cultivated within. A simple life, when lived with purpose and gratitude, is richer than one filled with excess but devoid of meaning. The mind that depends on circumstances for joy remains fragile, always vulnerable to change. But the man who finds fulfillment in his own character, in his principles and actions, is unshaken by misfortune. He does not need more, for he has already found enough. Happiness is not in events, but in perception. Two men may face the same hardship. One curses his fate, while the other sees an opportunity for growth. One views loss as ruin, the other as a lesson. The difference lies not in the world itself, but in how the mind interprets it. By shifting focus from what is lacking to what is present, from what is fleeting to what is lasting, contentment is discovered. Pleasures fade, fortunes rise and fall, and people's opinions shift like the wind. Relying on these things for happiness is like building a home on unstable ground. Instead, joy must be rooted in wisdom, virtue, and self-mastery. When a person's peace is not tied to possessions or external praise, but to the strength of their own mind, they become unshaken by life's uncertainties. The world is not experienced as it is, but as the mind perceives it. Events occur, but their meaning is assigned by thought. A delay may be seen as an inconvenience or an opportunity for patience. A failure may be interpreted as defeat or as a lesson in resilience. The same circumstances can bring despair to one man and wisdom to another, for the difference lies not in the event itself, but in how it is understood. The mind is a lens through which reality is filtered. If clouded by fear, it sees obstacles everywhere. If trained in gratitude, it finds reasons for joy even in hardship. Two men may walk the same path, yet one sees only burdens while the other recognizes blessings. Perception defines experience. A weak mind is controlled by external events, but a disciplined mind controls how those events are received. To master perception is to master life. A man who governs his thoughts is not a prisoner of misfortune, for he chooses how to respond. He does not label events as good or bad, for he understands that judgment is subjective. What appears as a loss today may reveal itself as a gift tomorrow. What seems like suffering may be shaping something greater within. It is not the world that must change, but the way one sees it. Training the mind to focus on what is within control, to reframe hardship as growth, and to seek wisdom in every experience transforms reality itself. Those who cultivate this skill find peace in chaos, strength in struggle, and opportunity in every challenge. The world bends not to will but to perception, and in mastering thought, one gains mastery over life itself. The body may be bound by limits, but the mind remains free. Pain, fatigue, and hardship affect all men, yet their power is determined by thought. A man who believes he is weak will surrender to struggle, while one who understands his inner strength will endure beyond expectation. The body may falter, but the will determines whether one rises or falls. Endurance is not merely physical but mental. A soldier on the battlefield, a laborer under the sun, a scholar at his desk, each faces exhaustion, yet the difference lies in whether the mind submits or commands. The one who complains of suffering magnifies it, while the one who embraces it transcends it. The body obeys the mind's instruction. A man who tells himself he cannot go further has already lost, but one who pushes beyond his limits finds those limits were never real. Suffering is not in the pain itself, but in the resistance to it. The winter wind cannot break the man who accepts the cold, nor can hardship shatter the one who welcomes struggle as a teacher. The mind that fears discomfort is enslaved by it, but the mind that accepts it gains mastery. Strength is not found in comfort, but in the ability to endure without breaking. The greatest achievements are not won by those who avoid hardship, but by those who command their will to rise above it. the runner who conquers exhaustion, the leader who stands firm in crisis, the thinker who presses on despite doubt. All prove that the mind, when disciplined, is greater than the obstacles before it. The body may have limits, but the mind, when trained, knows none. No man walks through life without facing trials. Suffering is not a question of if, but when. The wise do not wait for hardship to strike unprepared. They train their minds and bodies in advance. Just as a soldier sharpens his blade before battle, one must strengthen his spirit before adversity arrives. Comfort is deceptive, lulling men into weakness. When life is easy, discipline fades and the will softens. But hardship, when it comes suddenly, exposes this fragility. The man who has never prepared for loss crumbles when fortune turns. The one who has never endured discomfort is paralyzed when ease is stripped away. To be strong when tested, one must embrace struggle even in times of peace. Voluntary hardship is the training ground of resilience. Fasting teaches the body that hunger is not fatal. Cold water reminds the mind that discomfort can be endured. Sleeping without luxury proves that one can survive with little. These small acts of discipline build fortitude, ensuring that when misfortune arrives, it does not overwhelm. The man who has tested his limits before crisis does not fear it when it comes. One must also prepare the mind. Reflecting on worst-case scenarios removes their sting. Accepting that loss, pain, and difficulty are inevitable frees one from fear. When hardship is expected, it loses its power to shake. The man who has rehearsed suffering in his mind is not caught off guard when it appears in reality. Life will bring trials. Some will be small, others great. The unprepared will struggle, but the trained will endure. Strength is not given in the moment of crisis. It is built long before, in the quiet practice of discipline, in the willingness to face discomfort before it is forced upon us. The harshest enemy a man faces is often the voice within. This inner critic whispers doubts, magnifies failures, and questions worth. It turns minor setbacks into proof of incompetence and distorts reality with self-imposed judgment. Many men are defeated not by external forces, but by their own thoughts. The one who masters his inner dialogue frees himself from unnecessary suffering. Mistakes are inevitable, but self-condemnation is a choice. The wise man understands that failure is part of learning. He does not allow a single misstep to define him. He reflects, corrects, and moves forward without burdening himself with shame. The weak man, however, repeats his failures in his mind, punishing himself long after the moment has passed. Comparison fuels the inner critic. Looking at others and measuring oneself against them is a futile exercise. There will always be men with greater skill, wealth, or fortune, just as there will always be those with less. Seeking validation through external measures leads only to dissatisfaction. A man's worth is not determined by how he stands next to others, but by how he remains true to his own path. To silence the critic, one must control thought. Acknowledge mistakes, but do not dwell on them. Speak to oneself as a mentor, not an enemy. Focus on growth rather than judgment. A mind filled with self-doubt weakens the will, but a mind disciplined in self-encouragement builds strength. The man who refuses to be his own tormentor finds peace, confidence, and the ability to move forward without chains. Words may instruct, but actions inspire. A man's character is not proven by what he says, but by what he does. Those who seek to influence others must first master themselves. To demand discipline from others while living without it is hypocrisy. To preach strength while succumbing to weakness is empty. True leadership begins with action, not words. Men look not to advice but to example. A father teaches his son courage not through lectures, but by showing resilience in hardship. A leader gains respect not by commanding, but by standing firm when others waver. The teacher who embodies wisdom earns more trust than the one who merely speaks of it. It is through consistency, patience, and unwavering principles that influence is gained. Many desire change in others, but neglect it in themselves. They call for honesty, yet twist the truth, demand effort, yet avoid hard work. This weakens authority, for men follow those who embody the values they claim to uphold. A man who controls his temper, endures discomfort, and faces challenges with calmness needs no grand speech to gain followers. His presence alone commands respect. Leading by example is not about seeking admiration, but about setting a standard. It is the quiet discipline of living with integrity, showing kindness without weakness, and remaining steady in adversity. The strongest influence comes from silent strength, from the man who expects nothing of others that he has not first demanded of himself. Each action shapes the world more than any words spoken. The father, the teacher, the friend, and the leader all carry responsibility. By embodying wisdom, resilience, and virtue in daily life, one does more to inspire others than any command or lecture ever could. Positivity is not blind optimism, nor is it mere hope. It is the discipline of the mind to see opportunity in adversity, to command thoughts rather than be ruled by them, and to remain steady in both fortune and misfortune. It is the choice to embrace hardship as a teacher, to silence self-doubt, and to lead with unwavering integrity. True strength is found in mastering oneself, for no external force is greater than the will of a determined mind. Carry this mindset forward and no challenge will shake you. Stay resolute, stay strong. Good luck on your journey, and thank you.